Hello, everyone. Thanks to the audience for joining us today. Unfortunately, Jennifer Siebel Newsom was unable to join us, but you have me. My name is Clayton Davis. I'm the Film Awards editor at Variety. I'm thrilled to moderate this inspiring panel today about the film Belly of the Beast and the original song, See What You've Done. So now that we're going to take this first moment, we're going to watch the trailer, which features a clip from the song, See What You've Done.
There is a culture of secrecy in California.
I have some fear. What kind of repercussions will I get for coming on and talking about this?
I've always been a fighter, but it wasn't truly birthed until I was in prison.
They did a pelvic exam.
He said I had a fibroid.
I was told that I had cancer cells.
When I came out, I felt like something was wrong.
We were getting hundreds of letters about medical abuses every month.
When was the first time a doctor told you that you may be missing your ovaries?
No one ever told me that.
I had been intentionally sterilized, and I had been lied to.
The law prohibits sterilizing people in prison for the purpose of birth control, but they were doing it anyway.
One of the challenges with this story is you ultimately have to get to intent. And then that's when the doctor said, well, that's cheaper than welfare.
I was looking at these documents that was confirming, as a Black woman, my life wasn't shit.
What's going on?
I was very much intimidated by whom I was going up against.
The state has admitted that they have done these illegal surgeries, but we don't actually know who they did them on.
Women's become numbers. They don't get names. And that's what makes it easy to abuse them.
Women in California being coercively sterilized is absolutely revolting.
After all this pain, I'll never be the same.
We have yet to get an apology. We have yet to be acknowledged. The state has to be made accountable.
'Cause some wounds never heal. Do you see what you've done?
All right, awesome. Now we're going to be joined by the great panel that we have today, that we have assembled, starting with, she's a Grammy winner. She got nominated for 2 Oscars in the same year. First woman to do it for acting and songwriting at the same time, Miss Mary J Blige. Also joining us, Nova Wave, who are also songwriters on the title track, See What You've Done. Also, we're going to be joined by filmmaker, director Erica Cohn, and producer Angela Tucker, and then film participant commissioner Miss Kelly Dillon. Hello, all. We all came. Zoom worked. Look at that. That's how it just comes together very nicely, calmly, and we're all okay. How's everyone doing? Everyone's doing okay? Hanging in there?
Yes, good.
2021. Doing its thing. So first of all, to Angela and Erica and Kelly, fantastic film. Like, just beautiful, amazing. Congratulations, great work. You guys killed it. So I always like to throw that out there. It's a great documentary, and we're lucky to have it. And then Mary J, who we're color matching today, because I'm always trying to be like you in some way. So I want to start here with the song, See What You've Done. How did you get involved with this? How did you get involved with this whole project?
Well, actually, it was my A&R Eddie who brought the offer to me to be, on the soundtrack. And then, of course, I saw the documentary, and, I'm not going to agree to anything, until I see, what's going on. When I saw the documentary, I was like, I'm absolutely in. This is what I stand for. strong women, making it out of trauma and tragedy. So immediately I said yes. It was my A&R that brought it to me.
For you and Nova Wave, tell me what that songwriting process was like in getting this together. Mary, who's done so many big numbers throughout her career, and then now coming together for this that has a very, very strong message.
Well, I worked with Nova Wave before, so I knew that they could tackle this with me because of just what their spirits were and what they stand for, and the kind of work that we've done together. The songs that they've written with me in the past were just about what Mary J Blige does. She's about coming through all of the trauma and the tragedy and then the triumph. And I wouldn't have done it with anyone else but them because they can relate, and we've had conversations, and we sit and have conversations. And I don't converse with everybody about my personal life and what's going on. Although people see stuff on television, that's what you see. But to have a conversation with me is to get deep with me. And I trust you, and I trust Nova. So I trusted them to be able to help me deliver something really, really in depth and passionate and strong for this young lady, Kelly. When I saw the film, the documentary, I was blown away because I couldn't believe that women were being treated like that. Their whole right to be women was taken away from them. So, that was the discussion I had with Nova, this is ridiculous. So every time I have like a real heavy, serious Mary J Blige thing to do, I go to Nova. We're sisters in spirit. They get me and I get them.
Nova?
Oh man, Mary's, of course she's the GOAT. And just to get that call from her and it to be such a serious matter and again, something that she would trust us with that is to this magnitude. And like she said, we vibe on a level of being powerful women and telling a story that is ours. So, man, it couldn't have been done better, honestly, man. Like, we love Mary. We love, honestly, we're just the type of people. And even when we get with artists, we tell them you're in a holy space. Like, we pray, we make sure everything, like everybody feels comfortable in a very holy space. And just to add a little bit of piece of Nova Wave to it, man, it's been amazing. We appreciate it.
That was God calling, by the way. You could just sorry, it's cool.
For sure.
Yeah. Awesome. No, great. Now question to Erica and Angela. Erica, you're directing. Angela, you're producing. Why this story? What inspired you about it? I mean, it's obvious because Kelly's sitting here is to be like, well, so what inspired you? But what was it how did you become aware of it? And, how did it get off the ground?
Yeah, I first met attorney Cynthia Chandler in 2010 through a mutual friend. And I was really inspired by her organization, Justice Now, which was one of the only organizations in the country, if not the only organization, that had board members who are currently incarcerated, really informing strategy from the inside out. And they had a campaign called the Let Our Families Have a Future campaign, which essentially exposed the multiple ways that prisons destroy the basic fundamental human right to family. One of the most heinous, of course, being the illegal sterilizations, primarily targeting women of color. And to me, immediately that screamed eugenics. As a Jewish woman who grew up in Salt Lake City, the phrase "never again" was always profoundly in the back of my mind. And when I learned about this different kind of genocide that was happening through imprisonment, through forced sterilizations behind bars, I knew that I needed to get involved. And initially that was as a volunteer. Cynthia invited me into the organization as a volunteer, where I later became a legal advocate, providing direct services for over 150 people inside California's women's prisons. And from there, began collaborating on a project that ultimately became Belly of the Beast with people inside prison. And I had heard about Kelly's powerful activism for many years through that work. And I think it's really important to note that if it wasn't for Kelly being the catalyst to expose this series of illegal sterilizations, other heinous human rights abuses going on, we wouldn't be here today. There wouldn't be a film. There wouldn't have been the reporting that was done on this. There wouldn't be the information that we now have about how systemic this issue really is. And so when Kelly and I first met, you know, she was working as a community interventionist in Los Angeles, doing the incredible gang intervention work and domestic violence prevention work that she does. And she initially became involved in the documentary Behind the Scenes and as an advisor. And it was when Kelly got called in to testify when there was a series of hearings that we decided that we would begin filming what it was like up to that point when she was testifying. And as you see in the film, it centers around her experiences and her relationship with attorney Cynthia Chandler.
Angela?
Yeah, Erica and I met about 4 years ago, and you know, she had been in the trenches on this film for about 6 years at that point. And when we met at Sundance, you know, I was feeling a little bit like, I don't know if I can take on another film at this point. And then I saw footage of Kelly testifying, and you know, I just knew that I had to be a part of this film. I mean, you know, as a Black woman, I had heard about forced sterilizations happening. Fannie Lou Hamer is an example of a woman who, you know, in the 60s, she was forcibly sterilized in Mississippi, and they were happening so often, they were calling them the Mississippi appendectomies. And that's kind of one example of the kinds of stories that, you know, I had heard. And I thought somebody really needs to make a film about modern day eugenics. And so once I saw the footage, I said I had to be a part of this. And I just knew it would be kind of a unique opportunity to tell a story from a Black woman's point of view that also kind of had this feeling, was difficult, but also had a feeling of hope as well. So yeah, I mean, I just knew I had to get involved.
Awesome. Kelly, come take a ride with me back in time for a minute, right? We're gonna ride back for a sec. Because I know your younger self was listening to Mary J Blige, like on repeat, and waiting for the now Nova, you may be a little too young for this, but back in the day, when we wanted to hear something on the radio and then hear it again, we would wait for it to come on the radio, so we hit record real quick, and then we could have it, and that would be like our thing. There was no Spotify. So Kelly, just remember going back and listening to Mary J Blige music. And then we're going to fast forward to now. She is singing a song in a film that is about you. Gotta take it all in for a second and tell me.
Like you about to make me cry, Clayton. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have me looking like a punk in front of everybody, but yes. So first of all, to Nova Wave, to also shout out to DJ Camper, who, you know, gave his mastery on this song, but also paying homage to Mary J. Thank you so much, because when I first heard the song, Erica, you know, ran it past me. I just started crying, and I said, so basically, for real, shout out to Mary J and Nova Wave. Like, how could they capture my pain? How could they capture my confusion, my feeling of anger? You know, like what's going on? Like when I have to fight for what's rightfully mine, and I've been fighting all my life. It's like how you know, it was just a trip. But like Nova said, it was spiritual, right? And so I'm just so grateful that, you know, the spirit was connected in such a way to not only for them to write my pain, but for Mary to sing it in a way to where it was strong. It was like, man, like, what's up? Like, how y'all doing this to me? You feel me? So, but that's what I was raised with Mary, right? I'm from Watts. I'm out the hood, you know, and I'm 45 years old. And so I grew up, you know, to us, you know, Mary was like a big home girl. You feel me? She sung our pain, she sung our love. But she was always honest about it. I've said before, I think in another interview, how I had like I had like about 4 of her CDs bumping through the hallways in the prison walls, right? So everybody say, "Hey, Kelly, let me borrow that Mary J CD." But the song, you know, and don't get me wrong, every time you think you didn't heard one song and that's your song, then she make another song, right? But the song that carried me at a time where the anxiety, the trauma, the depression, the feeling of disparity of what happened to me was "Take Me As I Am." Oh, wait a minute, I don't want to. Take me as I am. Hold on. And so that was my song. And that's what I kept. And that's when I tuned the other girls out, my sisters that's still in prison, or some of them have came home now. But when I would put that on, that was my song. You know, how she was held down by, she acknowledged who kept her strong. She acknowledged that even in the midst of those around her who might have spoke, but there was times that only God could pull her out of that situation. That was my song, and it's my song today. But now, for me to connect to that song, and then God give her a song to give to me, like, you don't even understand spiritually how grateful, how thankful, and how humble I am for that. So thank you again, Mary. Thank you, Nova Wave. Thank you, DJ Camper, for blessing me, for blessing Belly of the Beast, Erica, Angela. Like we karaoke it and everything, but just it's blessings. So I just want to say that.
So 2 things real quick. 1, DJ Camper's here. Hello, DJ Camper. And 2, it's really important for me and the audience to know that I did not make you cry. This is Mary J. Mary J made you cry. I'm going to blame it on her for this. Because DJ Camper just walking in, sees you crying. I'm about to get, blamed for this. Let's clear that up. But no. DJ Camper, it's good to have you. Thanks for joining us. If you can hear us, you're muted. But Kelly, thank you very much for sharing. Mary, I have to ask you, like, what does that feel like? And by the way, Erica and Angela, if you have some karaoke video of you guys doing Mary J songs, I'd be more than happy to watch those and just, you guys belt out some numbers. But Mary J, how does that feel to hear what Kelly said?
It's just humbling, man. I just move in the spirit. When God tells me to move, I move. And he moved me to see this documentary and to see this young lady fighting for her life and not feeling like she was worth anything, but fighting through it. And I grew up, we grew up like that. We grew up in a very bad neighborhood where it was like prison. The projects is prison. So, she said, how did she know my pain? Well, I don't know everything, but I can relate, because when I was 5 and 7 and 9 and a teenager, my life was shit. My life was hell. My mother was a single parent mother who was fighting literally, physically for her life, for her children. We were all fighting. So we know what a fight is. We know what a spiritual fight is. And, to see that documentary, it was like, man, like, I hate to see her going through this, because I know that pain of just feeling like you're not nothing and you're not worth anything. But I know how it feels to have the strength to fight and say, you know what, I'm going to pick myself up, whether you like it or not, whether you love me or not. I'm going to be who God made me to be. You didn't make me that. God made me that. So she's an inspiration. Her honesty is an inspiration. I do things that inspire me. If it don't inspire me, then I don't want to be bothered, because I don't have any time. That's not my job. My job is to put my stuff out there so somebody else can heal. She did that for us. That, she helped us heal in a lot of ways, her honesty and her strength. You know, I didn't think she was going to make it out of that, but she was like, nah. So thank you, Kelly, for your strength, and for, you know, God, I got to give God the glory, because it is not me, you know, I'm just a vessel. Nova Wave is just a vessel. Camp is just a vessel, and you're a vessel too, because we're here right now because of your courage.
Amen.
Camper just coming in, just dropping the amens. Look at that. How you doing, sir? Good to see you.
Hey, man, I'm blessed. Hey, man, good to see you too. Good to see everybody in this chat, man. You know, we're blessed by the best, man. You know the rest.
Awesome. Kelly, I have to ask you something. I think it's really good to get this in context. Because a very wise man used to say, this would be the saying that he used to tell me growing up, that you make a plan and God laughs, right? Whatever you plan, God's laughing, because he's like, okay, whatever you plan, something else is coming. Can you just talk about like being here at this moment, everything that came before this, and just being here now, and just like, I don't know if that is a sense of.
Yeah. I get what you're saying, Clayton. I understand what you're saying. So let me just say this too, because I thought about this a couple of days ago. So I appreciate the question that you asked me. And I remember, because there's still trauma in which I thought I was over it, because like Mary said, we just used to surviving and fighting. But it's when we make it out and we look back, we be like, dang, I went through that. Like it is, sometimes it'll hit you. And so for me, what I didn't deal with was the issue between, you know, me and my Heavenly Father about me losing that trial, right? I was like, Lord, why would you bring me all the way this far for them to just, you know, just cancel out everything? Why would you take me here? So I didn't understand at the time about me getting to that place, right? Until about a few weeks ago. And then it just settled in my heart a few days ago, was that there was a bigger purpose. It wasn't just about me fighting and getting my own specific justice, even though I matter and me getting justice for me matters. But because I was in survival mode and I was about trying to get my life and my power back, I hadn't even thought about at the time all the other women that was coming behind me, until when, after I lost the case, which is when the investigation, we were able to then start pouring into the investigation. Then we found out that even in the midst of time of me being in prison, it was 1,500 other African-American, mostly African-American, Latino, and indigenous women that this happened to, right? Women of color. And so from there, it took me into another fight. So to get to a place right now where it hit me that because of what happened to me, my ability, you know, God giving me the ability to push past the pain and fight for a different reason. We got generations of Black babies, Latino babies, and African-American babies that are still going to be born because of this, right? And we also have women who are going to have a chance at motherhood. I left a lot of sisters behind me who had been incarcerated since they were 17, 18, 19 years old, who had 30 and 40 and 50 years of life. And they didn't never was married. Some of them never even had sex. And that was another part of the story, just the systematic racism that you see, and how prison in itself is a form of sterilization, because it separates us from the ability to have relationships in life. So just to answer your question, Clayton, you know, it just hit me that there was a bigger purpose. Sometimes we take the losses, not even understanding the wins that's further down. You get what I'm saying? And so yeah.
Very, very well said. Nova Wave, let me ask you too about messaging. You know, you get on this venture with Mary, and you start kind of formulating this message. You see the film. Obviously, messaging is very important to you, but what does it really say about this time that we're in? More so than the story, but what did you look beyond that, greater than Belly of the Beast, when you were writing the song?
I mean, in general, our approach is just to touch as many people lives and just to bring some introspective just introspective things that everybody can just relate to. I mean, specifically just looking at her pain and really sitting down and really, really watching this multiple times, and really, again, like just knowing this could be either one of us. You know what I mean? Like that we're a time away, a zip code away, a placement away of literally this happening to one of us. So yeah, I think honestly we do approach from just approach our music where it won't be a time constraint on it, but at the same time we really, really dug into what does she want to say. You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure.
Let me see. Erica, I have a question for you. One thing that's very unique to kind of how this whole film plays out is there is I want to say a melting, but like a disintegration of the prison wall between the incarcerated people and the not incarcerated people. I'm not going to say regular people, the not incarcerated. And there's a dialogue that seems to be occurring that we don't see a lot of in film. Can you speak a little bit to that and how that process played out, and if that was obviously your intent? And Angela, obviously you can weigh in with this as well.
Yeah, from the very beginning, we knew that this film was made in collaboration with and for people who were incarcerated. And so one of the ways that we ensured that this film would be accessible for people inside was through our PBS broadcast. It was essential for the film to be on PBS because PBS is one of the only consistent stations that people inside have access to. And every decision along the entire process of making this film was made in collaboration, even down to the decision to reach out to Mary J Blige to be the musical voice of this film. We asked people inside if there was one person that you could have to represent your story, who would it be? And hands down, everyone said, and it obviously, in addition to Kelly, it has to be Mary J Blige. So then the challenge became, well, how do we reach Mary? And I have to say, give a big shout out to our music supervisor, Tracy McKnight, and also Eddie Forsell for assembling this incredible dream team. I mean, truly, we couldn't have asked Camper, Nova Wave, Mary J, to be a part of this film. There couldn't have been a better team. And I have to say, when we sent Mary the rough cut of the film, we didn't have an ending. The ending of the film hadn't been shot. And, it was this incredible synergy that came together in that moment where Kelly and Cynthia were fighting for reparations. And the song really inspired the last scene, how we cut it. How do we leave audiences feeling inspired to create change, paying tribute to Kelly and the other survivors' strength and resilience, but also feeling the gravity of these heinous human rights abuses and how nothing can make people whole. And the film couldn't be tied up with the happy ending, with the bow, as Kelly talks about in the end. So lyrics like "Some wounds never healed, don't you see what you've done" really hit home. And so I feel like both musically and lyrically, it really helped the film kind of reflect that ongoing pursuit of justice and demand accountability. And I just want to go back to something that you said, Clayton, and kind of reimagining how we view imprisonment in this time and this space, because so much of what we see, what we're exposed to in terms of life behind bars, it's typically dramatized or sensationalized. And so in collaboration with people, we chose to really reimagine imprisonment and place viewers in these vulnerable, uncomfortable spaces and ask audiences, is informed consent even possible within these walls, by using imagery of like what it would feel like to be handcuffed to a gurney being wheeled into a surgical operating room, or what it would feel like to have your legs dangling from an exam room table while you're waiting to be seen for medical care in a prison where your daily existence is threatened by force. So those were very kind of important conversations that we had throughout the process. Angela, do you want to, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, I only have two things to add. One of the incredible experiences about the film being available on public television is we've been getting emails from people who are inside thanking us for making the film, thanking us for telling their story. So that, I mean, that is so validating for us and really, why we made the film. And one thing I want to say about the song is that a lot of songs at the end of documentaries are very bad. I'm just going to say it. They're really corny and they're really hokey. And when I heard this song, I was like, this is such a good song. Like, this is a song that I love, even outside of the context of the film, because it allows people to feel hopeful and still speaks to what the film is about. So I was just like, oh, we have a really good song at the end of our movie. So I just had to say that because
I need everyone to take that Angela Tucker shade on other documentary songs for the rest of their lives. Any song we hear from here on out in the documentary, we're gonna think of her and be like, she thinks this is funny. Good. No, thank you, Angela. It's amazing. By the way, Erica, if you're gonna cite some lyrics from Mary J Blige's song, you have to sing them. You can't just say them. You have to like feel them on the. I'm trying to embarrass everybody today. Everybody's gonna get in a moment.
It's working.
Yeah, all right, we got it.
And Clayton, before you move forward, I just want to say this as well: is that the song also captures the time that we were in. It captured the time. Like, it can really be like a civil rights anthem, a feminist movement anthem. It's like it has all of that going on. And so I mean, it really captured the time that we were in, and I can see that it can be a theme, playing in the background of other movements to come. So I want to say that as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Mary J and Nova Wave and Camper, if we can get you in here with that too. Can you recall the scene in the movie that kind of punched in the stomach, that kind of got that gut, that you were like, oh, this is why the song feels like this? Is this the impactful moment that you were watching, that it all came together? Do you remember that aha moment that made this beautiful number be born?
Just when she found out that that's what was being done, like those women were finding out that they were being ripped, their womanhood was being ripped away from them. It just was like, it was horrible for me, because I can't even imagine, I couldn't ever imagine that happening. But at the same time, it was always in the back of my mind, because they don't treat us right. So, but that's what they were doing though. Like, my God. So, that's terrible. So when, to get that news,
Nova, please.
Sure. I think the shot for me was her, the gurney and the handcuffs, and it literally made me angry. It made me angry. It made me feel as if it was happening to me, like, honestly. So that's the scene for me. It just made me so angry.
I think for me personally, when they were trying to get the law passed and it didn't get passed, I think that's the part that made me really, really angry. I'm like, here you have this woman sitting before you. You have all the evidence. You have everything you need, and it still isn't enough. I don't know. It touched me in a different way, for sure.
DJ Camper, do you recall the scene that did it for you?
I literally was going to say what Mary said. But like, it's just like to piggyback off of what Mary and what Nova said. It's just like, yeah, like when she found out, like, you know, like that was happening, it's just like, it was like a gut feeling for me too, because I automatically thought about my mother and my aunts and my little sister that just had a baby. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just devastating. And, you know, like, it's just time for change. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how much more are we going to, you know what I mean? Like, I love the woman, you know what I'm saying? Like, forever. So, you know, like when I saw that part of the movie, it was just like, man, it was very, very, it was very heartfelt for me. Hit home.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Question for you, Miss Kelly. So one aspect in the film is, I mean, even now, is that you're a commissioner of an executive director of a nonprofit. Again, just like the rise, you know, getting to do something amazing. Can you tell a little bit about your organization and what it is that you're doing now?
Yeah. So now, since the film, I've been appointed as a Los Angeles commissioner, and I sit on the board of City of Los Angeles Community and Family Services, in which I've been entrusted along with other board members to ensure that the funding is allocated to needed community services or community programs. I'm also the vice president of the Southeast Neighborhood Council, which is, you know, the Watts district and everything. And so making sure that, you know, local things happen in our community. And so that's something like civic engagement of me, you know, giving back. I've been doing that for like the last three years or so now. But my organization, which is called Back to the Basics, and actually right after I graduated, like that scene, right? I had a little bit of sociology education, and I learned about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is the basic things that people need in order to survive. And that's what came to me, is because some of us, it's not even, we just want the basic. Like you say, when I have to fight for a right that's rightfully mine, like that's a basic human right, is for me to be able to have a child. But it's more so people, you know, want a sense, like sometimes it's the basic housing, basic food supply, basic education, like just the regular things in order to give people. And so my organization, Back to the Basics Community Empowerment, I have a team of other prevention and intervention professionals, and we educate those in school, like high schools, in which I know I have like a few girls out of different high schools in LA, in which I teach them about self-empowerment, teach them about their rights and how to advocate for themselves and how to find their voices. We also do reentry, and we work with those who are coming home, male and female, educating them on life skills, to understand anger management, different things like that, domestic violence, but also preparing them too for careers. So I have a connection with some people in the trades. And so if they want trades in like construction, electrician and stuff like that, I have a connection with some of those leaders that's in that area in the union. And so we can funnel them that way. So, and mostly just doing my main focus also is because when I was young, when I was 19 and I was hurting and I was looking for, you know, help, I didn't know where to find it. So one of my main goals is to make sure that we have community resource events and fairs and different things like that in different, you know, sectors of LA, to bring resources and to collaborate with those who give it and say they service the community. You know, I'm gonna make sure that you're really about that work, right? I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna hold you accountable to them dollars that you get in, and making sure that you funnel them in the community like you're supposed to. So I create these sometimes these events where we bring the resources to the community, and so therefore, you know, to make it accessible. Sometimes, you know, a lot of times people set up an organization. They be like, okay, if they want it, they come here and get it. Like, no, I don't have. Why do I have to come to your building? Like, come to the community, come to the hood, come, you know, come out here and meet the people where they at, And if you had that credibility, they gonna come find you anyway. You get what I'm saying? So that is part of where I'm at right now. All praises be to God, because I didn't think that I was going to survive what happened to me. It felt like I couldn't breathe. Many days of anxiety, panic attacks, feeling like they had already killed a part of me and wondering if I was going to die there as well. So, as I think Mary, Nova, and them, as in even like Angela, we say is that it's an everyday thing. It's an everyday survival, and just so happened that it's things going around that I'm pissed off about enough to say, oh no, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna be the change I want to see. And to the point that now, and it's also amazing for me that that I will be trusted with that type of leadership. You know what I'm saying? As you can see in the film A Belly of the Beast, they say, well, they're murderers anyway. They are convicts anyway. They don't deserve, whatever. But I'm also an example of the potential of what a life can be if given the opportunity, given the resources and support and love and assistance, that and that I can be something and that you can be something. So I also wanted to be that example as well, so that's a part of it as well. So thank you for allowing me to share this part of my story, in which I'm ready for I'm ready for that new story. You get what I'm saying? I want to connect with Mary J just real quick. When I just want to say this is that I know she feel me when she said, I've already sung that song and I've been singing those songs before. Right now in my life, I got a new song. I got a new feeling on life that I want to sing about. I understand y'all used to me being, her, and y'all used to me whatever. But right now, can I just enjoy what God got me right now? And so that's the reason why I was saying that for me is like, okay, I poured out all that I was on Belly of the Beast. I poured out everything, So I said, okay, y'all got that, right? Y'all got that. Let that talk for you. Cause right now I want a new story. You feel me? I want a new legacy. You get what I'm saying? Even though I'm humbled and I'm grateful for that legacy that God gave me, but I'm also ready to build on it. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at.
Yes. Oof.
Mary J, I think there was orders that you need to write that song. I'm just saying, like that's how I took it. Like if y'all can write that new story right now, then feel free.
Let's go, Mary. Let's do it tonight.
Look, we writing it right now. You got the right thing.
Got the beat on me right now.
Kelly, we already on it.
Let's go.
I have two last questions from the audience. So I'm gonna throw one to Erica, and the last one I'm gonna throw to you, Mary J. So Erica, what's the status of the sterilization reparations effort in California?
Yeah, I think this might be the year that California passes reparations for sterilization survivors. And we actually have a petition on our website, bellyofthebeastfilm.com, where people can sign their support for reparations for sterilization survivors, not only those who were sterilized recently in California's women's prisons, but also those who were sterilized in the historic eugenics program that sterilized over 20,000 people in California. And I believe that this reparations movement, which not only provides survivors with compensation, but also forces the state to notify people who still to this day don't know that they were sterilized, which is, I think, a really important piece to note. Still, people to this day don't know that they were sterilized.
Yeah.
I believe that this will set precedent for other states across the nation, so we don't continue to see incidents like we just saw in the Georgia Immigration Detention Center last fall.
So the question from the audience, if you guys can hear me, could you talk about parallels between the film and the song and what's going on now with the pandemic? How is the film and the song relevant?
Well, the film and the song are relevant right now with the pandemic because women, with the last president we had, it was going to take, our right to have kids, have an abort, whatever we needed to do, just take away our right to be women take away our right to do whatever we want to do with our bodies. God gave us free will, so why aren't you giving us free will, man? You're not God. And so it's just, it's parallel because we didn't know all this was going on. We didn't know there was, I mean, we knew, but then we didn't know it was so much racism. Then we didn't know we was hated so much as a people. Like, you got a new generation feeling that. You got babies feeling just, you know, stuff we saw on television that's been uncovered. So the first words, you know, what's going on? Period. You know, what's going on when I have to fight for a right that is rightfully mine. Black people are literally fighting for their rights to just be Black people. Just the people are fighting for their rights to be people. It's just, it's a mess. It's a mess, but the song is relative, you know, to everything, but it ain't over. It ain't over. If you're strong, it's not over, you know, but you have to, you have to find a place, and you got to work towards this every day. And even if you don't believe it, pay yourself the highest compliment and every, you know, every day until you believe it. Keep God first. And, you know, this pandemic has put everybody on the same level. You know, the rich people, the white people, the Black people, the gay people, the straight people. This pandemic is the great equalizer. So this song has it's relative in every way. It's parallel in every way.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining me. Nova Wave, DJ Camper, Angela Tucker, Erica Cohn, Miss Kelly Dillon. You're beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And Mary J, for just being yourself all these years. We very much appreciated it. And I can't wait.
I want to say congratulations to Kelly. You know, I mean, congratulations.
Yes.
And thank you for allowing us to share your world. Like, you know, this is our world, but you created this moment that we can shine with you. Thank you so much, and for letting us shine with you.
I wanted to say this one last thing to you guys, is that Mary, you know, Nova Wave, DJ Camper, is that I want to say one thing, is that it's not just like a song, like it was ministry. You get what I'm saying? It's a form of ministry that you can help heal. That's ministry, when you help people heal from a pain, to empower them and strengthen them, you know, in the darkest hour, to make them reflect on themselves and God. That's ministry. You get what I'm saying? So I just said thank you. Keep minister to me.
Amen.
And you keep ministering too.
And thank you to the audience for joining us today and submitting questions. Make sure you go watch Belly of the Beast. Tell your family and friends to watch it as well. And listen to the call to action that Erica and Kelly and everyone else spoke about here. Get out there. Everyone could use some support. But thank you. Be safe. Wear a mask.
Thank you.